The best month for UFC in 2025 continues this Saturday in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Going down in just a couple of days. I'm here to give you every single one of my picks on the card. We're going to start with the first fight of the night, go all the way up to the main event. And once we've done that, I'll go ahead and rank each and every one of my picks from least to most confident from number 13 down to number 1. Before we get into the video, please hit the like button for me. And if you want my bets and not just who I'm picking to win, go check those out. Link down in the description below. Use code HeyJive for a 5-day free trial. Picks and bets are very different. Let's check out the first fight of the night. We got Lacerda taking on Simon Oliveira. Disgusting fight. Disgusting fight because I don't really believe in either guy. But the guy I believe in a little bit more is going to be Lacerda. Because Lacerda, I think, is a good grappler. I think his striking is decent. You know, I don't really think he should be a huge favorite here. But, I mean, neither guy really has done anything at the UFC level. They're both winless at the UFC level. But I look at Lacerda's fights, and I think he's probably the better striker. He's probably got the better process on the feet. It looks like Oliveira is just kind of a madman throwing hands. And I guess maybe it could land, but I don't think he's got the most power. And on the ground, Oliveira is kind of a guillotine merchant. I don't think he's the best grappler. I think Lacerda's the better grappler in the matchup, and it probably plays out on the ground for majority of it. So I'm going to take Lacerda to get it done. I think he's the better grappler here. I think he's got the better process on the feet and on the ground. He did, roll for a leg lock against Damon Blackshear, and he does do that quite often. So that could get him in some trouble. Got to watch out for that guillotine of Simon Oliveira, but I think Lacerda gets it done. I don't really think Simon Oliveira is UFC level, and he's had some health concerns as well, so maybe those come to light in this matchup. But give me Lacerda for the pick. Moving on to some women's MMA, we got the veteran Karolina Kowalkiewicz coming in as a huge dog against Julia Polastri. I like Polastri, man. I really do. I think she is one of these women's MMA fighters that's just I don't want to say a little bit meaner than a lot of these girls, but she's mean. She is a mean fighter, but she can be a little bit cocky, and she can fight to the level of her opposition, man. She is willing to take strikes, whether it's kicks, punches, just to feel something. It honestly looks like she's going in there just looking to get hit, just to feel something. And that's pretty scary. She is a psycho, and I think she goes full psycho here against Karolina. Karolina might have some early success because Polastri seems to be a girl that likes to build into fights and kind of take over later on with her pace. So maybe Polastri could get a late finish, but it's probably going to be a decision, and I think Polastri gets it done. I could see a 29-28. Karolina gets the first. Polastri pulls away in the next two. Or maybe it's just a pure domination and Polastri just puts it on her 30-27s, or maybe gets a late finish. But I think Polastri gets it done. Nonetheless, she's going to be the pick. She's a big favorite this week, and I think it's probably warranted. Let's move on to some heavyweights. We got Muhammad Usman taking on Walter Walker. I mean, is Walter Walker going to get another heel hook? I wouldn't put it past him, and I wouldn't put it past Muhammad Usman to go in there and not be ready to defend a heel hook. Now, there are some red flags with this matchup because I don't think Muhammad Usman is the worst fighter. He's not a good fighter, but he's a decent athlete who, I think has decent takedown defense. And I don't really think Walter Walker has an amazing all-around game. If he gets you down to the ground, sure, he's going to be looking good. But on the feet, I don't think he's very good. He could be getting better. He's the much younger guy in this matchup. So I'm going to take Walter Walker because I think he has the grappling upside. I do think his striking could still be improving. And he's a big dude. And he's got a move that just can end the fight at any point in time. So I got to take Walter Walker here. But he's a big favorite now after, being kind of undervalued in a lot of situations or in a lot of matchups. And you got to look at some of those matchups too. Don'Tale Mayes, not a good grappler. Junior Tafa, not a good grappler. Kennedy Nzechukwu, not the best grappler, but a capable grappler. So that was, a little bit more impressive. We'll see if he could do it to Muhammad Usman, but I got to take Walter Walker here for the pick. Moving on to some flyweights, we got Stuart Nicoll coming in as the slight dog here against Lucas Rocha. Now, I like Rocha. I love his striking. I think he's very creative. I think he takes some nice angles, mixes up his weapons. He's got good timing, but the guy's takedown defense is just not that great. It looks good in some scenarios, but this guy just constantly finds himself getting taken down. And Stuart Nicoll in his UFC debut against Jesus Aguilar, he made one mistake. And he made one mistake that cost him the fight. You get caught in Jesus Aguilar's guillotine, that's going to be game over, buddy. And it was his UFC debut. Now he's got to travel all the way to Brazil, which I don't really like. But I think this is a matchup where he can exploit the grappling of Lucas Rocha. Lucas Rocha has always had the grappling flaws. Sometimes he's been able to overcome it with, a big knee knockout on the Dana White Contender Series. And in other fights, he can out-grapple some of these guys, or at least scramble to get out of some spots, get back up to his feet and land his strikes, or just go over into top position. I just don't know that Stuart Nicholl's going to allow that. I think Stuart Nicholl's got a big grappling advantage in this one, based on the tape that I can watch pre-UFC. He looks like a pretty good grappler, man. I think he's probably going to be able to get that going. So I'm going to take Stuart Nicholl as a slight dog here for the pick. More women's MMA. We got the UFC debuter, Beatriz Mesquita, coming in as a huge favorite in her UFC debut. Automatically, red flag, right? And then he got Irina Alekseeva, who does not look good. Does not look good whatsoever. She won her UFC debut, which is crazy, by a knee bar. And then her next two fights, she just looks absolutely terrible. And one thing to note, Irina Alekseeva is coming off a loss to Claudia Segula. And Segula was looking awful. She looked like she should not be in the UFC, and she lost to Claudia Segula. And Segula trains at American Top Team with Beatriz Mesquita. Now, they're two completely different fighters. Mesquita is a all-world type of grappler in jiu-jitsu, and I think if Mesquita gets this fight to the ground, it's probably over. But I don't think her striking is good. I don't think her wrestling is amazing. But it's probably enough. It's probably enough to get the fight down to the ground once. And I don't really think Alekseeva is going to come in here and stuff every single takedown. She just makes so many mistakes. She's so flat-footed. It looks like it would be so easy to take her down, even if you're not the best wrestler. So I got to take Beatriz Mesquita. I think she's got a massive grappling upside in this matchup against Alekseeva, who I don't think is a good grappler by any means. And I don't really think she's some amazing striker either. She just got pieced up by Claudia Segula. So give me Mesquita to get this one done in her UFC debut. More heavyweights. We got Thomas Petersen taking on Vitor Petrino. Petrino, UFC debut, or not UFC, but a heavyweight debut his last time out against Austin Lane, and he gets it done by round one sub. It's a good step up for him. Thomas Petersen, I think, is a little bit better than Austin Lane, but he's not that much better, right? He's not that much better. He's a lot different than Austin Lane. He's more of a wrestler, boxer type of guy, not a very good athlete, but sneaky, white guy athleticism where, he's got a little bit of strength to him a little bit. Thomas Petersen, it was so funny. He is exactly what you would look at and be like, wow, that guy must be hardworking. That guy must be tough. He's from Minnesota, white guy. This is what we see with people of my kind up in the Midwest, tough and hardworking. That's Thomas Petersen. But outside of that, doesn't really have much. I don't think his boxing is amazing. He's got some decent volume. I think his wrestling is solid, but if you can't really out wrestle like a guy like Jamal Pogues, you lost to Jamal Pogues. You go out there and you can't out wrestle him. Like, can I really trust you to go out there and take down Vitor Petrino and control him? Not really. Like, I can expect you to take down Dante Mays and control him there, but if you ain't doing it to Jamal Pogues, I don't think you could do it to Vitor Petrino. Petrino is a great athlete, super strong. Even at heavyweight, he's going to be a lot more athletic. I don't think he's going to be outmatched in the strength department. Vitor's got much better striking. I think he's got a much better jiu-jitsu game as well. So I got to go take Vitor Petrino here. Yes, Vitor Petrino is not really a guy that I would trust at this type of price tag, but I do think he probably wins, and I think he's got Petersen outmatched a little bit in this one. So give me Petrino. All right, Jafel Filho taking on Clayton Carpenter. It's going to be a good fight. I like this one. It's a good matchup. Filho going to be pushing the grappling, going to be swinging hard on the feet. That's exactly what he does in every single fight. He's going to swing hard on the feet, then he's going to look to take you down, and then you're grappling. Clayton Carpenter, I would say, is probably the cleaner fighter in this one, but he's still green in MMA. Clayton Carpenter's had, 8 fights in professional MMA, and I think Filho has 20. So, he's got double the professional MMA experience And Filho's a slight dog here. Now, Clayton Carpenter's a great prospect, but he's 29 now. It's time to go. And I think the UFC feels that as well, and that's why they're giving him this guy in Filho, who's a good fighter. So I really think this is going to be a close fight. It's going to come down to who can end up on top. And on the feet, I don't really think it's going to play out on the feet, to be honest. I think Filho's just always pushes the grappling every single fight, that it's going to play out on the ground. And I think Clayton Carpenter could, get into a top position here and win some minutes on top, but it's going to be greasy. I think it's going to be coming down to a close decision. And Filho, being the guy with more professional MMA experience, I'm going to lean with him to, maybe have a little vet move up his sleeve and win the fight in the moment in round 3 where it's a close fight, but one guy takes advantage of a position and he gets the win that way. So I'm going to take Jafel Filho to get this one done, but I could easily see it going to Clayton Carpenter. I think it's a really close fight, but I'm going to take Filho here as a slight dog. Lucas Almeida taking on Michael Aswell. We got Michael Aswell, who's 0-1 in the UFC debut, short notice against Pelagioki, up a weight class, I believe it was. And he put out a good performance, man. He put on a good performance. Oki's a big, strong, dangerous guy that he's intimidating, man. He's intimidating. He looks like he hits hard. I mean, he cracked Mason Jones in his last fight, but then got out wrestled and gassed out. And Michael Aswell took those shots and just kept walking forward on short notice, and it didn't really look like he slowed down. It just looked like the physicality was a little bit too much for him up a weight class. Now he goes down to 145. Almeida is a big dude with big power at 145. And I could see some similar things happening in this matchup for Michael Aswell, where Aswell has volume for days. He will throw 300 significant strikes in a 15-minute fight. He's done that in both of his fights under the UFC banner, one in the UFC, one on Dana White Contender Series. So it's volume versus power here, in my opinion. And I'm going to lean towards the power here with Lucas Almeida. I think Lucas Almeida could definitely get caught by Aswell. I mean, Almeida has been a little bit chinny. We've seen him get hit with something and, go wobbly or just straight up get knocked out like he did against Andre Fili. But I think Almeida showed in his last fight against Danny Silva, like, he can be there for 15 minutes. He can throw a good amount of volume. And I think Danny Silva's a little bit better than Michael Aswell. A little bit different of a striker, but I think Aswell, a guy that just fights so much on the center line, constantly looking to land that jab and that 1-2, that I think Almeida's going to be there, and I think he's going to be able to hit him with some big stuff. And I think it could come down to a close decision where Almeida is just the guy landing the bigger, more eye-catching shots in his home country. So I'm going to take Lucas Almeida for the pick here as a slight dog again. Now we got Con Ofli taking on Ricardo Ramos. Two guys that I just don't think I would ever trust, to be honest. I don't think I would ever trust. Now, when I was breaking down the film on this one, I really had some higher hopes for Con Ofli when he was on The Ultimate Fighter. I'm like, okay, this guy's looks like he's a solid grappler. Watching some of his regional tape, like, he's willing to bite down on the mouthpiece. He'll throw hard. He can take some shots. And then he goes into the UFC. He gets knocked out clean by Myron Santos. And then I'm like, okay, maybe I was just wrong with this guy. But then he fights Muhammad Naimov. And I had a bet on Naimov there. And it made it a little bit greasy. And that does tend to happen with Naimov. But Ofli, I don't think he had, like, the worst showing against Muhammad Naimov. Now he gets a step down in competition here, in my opinion. And Ramos has not looked good at all. He hasn't looked good in a long time, really. He really hasn't. He got guillotined twice, which is a move that Con Ofli has wins by. Got a good guillotine. And against Josh Kulabau, I had a bet on Ramos there, and I don't know how he won, man. I don't know how he won, but he found a way to get it done. And then he got just destroyed by Chepe Mariscal. So, I mean, there's not really much that I could like with Ricardo Ramos, but I do think he's the guy that has way more UFC experience. I think he's a good grappler. He's got to watch out for the guillotine with Ofli. I think this could be really close, man. I think it could be really close, but I am going to side with Ricardo Ramos, dude, because I just can't pick Con Ofli until he gets a UFC win. I just can't do it. I just can't do it, man. I got to have at least something I can look at and be like, yeah, he can get a UFC win. Haven't seen it yet, so I got to go with Ricardo Ramos, but it's not a confident one, man. I don't think Ricardo Ramos is great. I don't think he's good. And I don't think he's looked good in any fight recently. So with hesitancy, I'll take Ricardo Ramos. Let's move on to some heavyweights. We got Mario Pinto taking on Jonathan Diniz. I've really tried to watch the tape and find something where I could be confident in one side, but I just don't really think I can be, dude. I don't think I can be, because I think Diniz is probably the rightful favorite. You know, he's got more UFC experience. He's the guy that's been in kickboxing for a long time. Pinto's been in MMA for a little bit longer, so I guess that could be an upside for him. But I think Diniz is the better kickboxer. Like, I think Pinto is clean with his striking, but he's a little bit patient. And I think Diniz, if you're going to be patient against Diniz, I think he's just going to pick you apart. He's going to hit those hard leg kicks. He's got a nasty head kick. He's got a good 1-2. He's got a good jab. And he looks like he's got 15 minutes of solid cardio. And I don't really think this fight's going to play out on the ground, which is kind of both guys' weakness, unless maybe Pinto looks for a takedown, but I don't really see that being a big, part of his game plan. So I think it's probably going to be on the feet. I think Diniz is just a slightly better striker. So I'm going to take Diniz for the pick here. I also know that Diniz has a good chin, and I've seen Pinto hurt. We saw him hurt by Austin Lane in his UFC debut. I've seen him hurt on the regional scene as well. But he's overcome those. So, I mean, even if Diniz hurts him early, I'm not going to count out Pinto, if the fight goes into the next round. But I just think Diniz is a little bit better of a striker, but not really one that I would be super passionate about. Give me Diniz for the pick. All right, we got Vicente Luque taking on Joel Alvarez. I'm going to take Joel Alvarez in this one because I think Joel is just way more in his prime. Vicente Luque's gone through the brain bleed, and ever since he did come back from that, I mean, the RDA fight that he won, RDA's a 155er. I know Joel's a 155er, but those are completely different 155ers, if you know what I mean. He fought RDA, and he used a lot of wrestling there. He got TKO'd by Buckley, said literally that he gave up, submitted Garimbo, which is good. I had a bet on Luque by sub there because Luque's still got his submission arsenal, but then he's getting pieced up by Kevin Holland and shoots and gets subs. So, I mean, Luque's a guy that you never really know what you're going to get. And at this point in his career, I just don't really think we're going to get the best of him. And I know Joel Alvarez is a guy that is a beast at 155. And I'm pretty sure he's moving up to 170 so that he can be more active. I know that I've talked to somebody that knows, in the know, and they say the UFC doesn't give him like these big high-level matchups because he constantly has to pull out of fights with injuries or whatever. So I think maybe if he's fighting at 170, he can fight more often, and then he can move up the rankings and get more fights. I think at 170, he'll be fine, man. He's 6'3". He's got really solid striking, good power on the feet, good timing, good defense on the feet as well. Takedown defense could definitely use some work, but it seems like he just doesn't really care because he's willing to grapple with you, and he's got a nasty submission arsenal. So I think Alvarez is just a little bit too dangerous for Luque, who's been finished a couple times recently, and I think Alvarez could get it done by choke or knockout. So give me Alvarez for the pick. Co-main event here, we got Deiveson Figueiredo taking on Montel Jackson. This is a tough one, boys. This is a tough one because we got Montel Jackson, who's on a nice long winning streak, and he only fights like once, maybe twice a year. But when he does, it looks good. Montel's a Milwaukee guy, so Milwaukee stand up. But I know Montel is just a freak athlete. He's a freak athlete with a freak frame. I'm pretty sure the guy's, 5'11" at 135 with this long-ass reach, huge-ass hands. Like, you could just tell this guy's built different. But who's he facing, man? Who is he facing? He's knocking out JP Buys and knocking out Ronnie Yaya. He's had these matchups where he can look good in them. And even the matchups where they're a step up in competition, whether it's Julio Arce or a Daniel Marcos, he wins them, but I wouldn't say he's as dominant as he maybe should look if he's going to be coming in here as a minus 300 favorite to Deiveson Figueiredo. Now, Deiveson Figueiredo is obviously coming off a knee injury, which I don't like. But would he just come back with a bad knee? Like, I feel like his knee must be okay if he's coming back maybe I'm wrong, but then we also got to look at, what did Davis and Figueiredo do when he got to 135? We already know he was a flyweight champion at one of the best flyweights to ever do it. He was a flyweight champion, loses to Moreno in the quadrilogy or whatever, goes up to 135, has a lot of success. I think he won, 3 fights? Rob Font, Cody Garbrandt submitted him, beat Chito Vera. And then he fights Petr Yan, loses. Fights Corey Sandhagen, loses. Am I gonna get down on him because he lost to Petr Yan and Corey Sandhagen? I don't think I really can. And this is in Brazil. Montel Jackson stylistically has had a problem with takedown defense, and Figgy has had a lot of success using his takedowns, even up a weight class at 135. I know Montel's just a huge dude, but his takedown defense is not very good. I don't really know if his grappling is all that great either. I think if Figgy can get some takedowns here, he can stay on top. He can threaten with some chokes on the feet. Also, Figgy is still fast for 135, and Montel is fast as well, and he's definitely a lot longer. But he does have some tall man defense where he's leaning back, and because he's so long, he can get away with it. But Figgy, if he can use his timing and land his strikes right, I think he could get it done. It's not a confident pick, but when I look at this one, I'm like, dude, am I really gonna take Montel Jackson over Davis and Figueiredo? I gotta go with Figgy here, man. So I'm gonna take Figgy for the pick. You'll see it on the confidence level, but I'm gonna take a shot. I'm gonna take a shot on the veteran, the champion here, to get it done in his home country. I'm not gonna get down on him because he lost to Sandhagen and fucking Petr Yan. Let's move on to the main event. We got Mateusz Gamrot taking on Charles Oliveira. Charles coming in as a slight dog. And I could see why, man. I could see why. But Mateusz Gamrot, I've honestly never had a great job. I've never done a great job picking his fights, man. I really haven't. Every time that Mateusz Gamrot is in a fight, I'm either picking him to win and he loses, or I'm picking him to lose and he wins. And so you probably don't want to listen to this one, or just take whatever the opposite of what I pick. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to be picking Charles Oliveira. But I'm going to tell you the reasoning behind it, right? Mateusz Gamrot has never faced a submission attempt in the UFC. So right off the bat, it's like, okay, he's a wrestler who shoots a lot of takedowns, and he's facing the guy with the most submissions in UFC history. Now, is he not getting submission attempts put on him because he's so good at never putting himself in a submission attempt? Or is he not facing guys with submissions? I would lean more towards the fact that he's facing guys that aren't really looking to threaten with submissions. They're more looking to defend the takedown and get back up to their feet. I don't think Charles Oliveira is going to be looking to defend every single takedown. Also on the feet, Mateusz Gamrot's been knocked down in 6 of his UFC fights. And Charles Oliveira, I think, is probably the more dangerous striker here. Charles is coming off the nasty knockout to Ilya. Ilya's going to do that to a lot of people, right? Ilya's going to do that to a lot of people. And yeah, I don't really like that for his durability, because Gamrot could fluke some overhand right and just spark him. But Charles has been hurt in a lot of fights, and he's been able to come back and win them. But against Ilya, that's not going to work. And then he's losing to Arman Tsarukyan. I didn't think he looked terrible in that fight. I really didn't. I mean, obviously Gamrot beat Arman, but that was another fight where I picked Arman and I got it wrong on Gamrot. I'm the worst on Mateusz Gamrot fights. I swear, dude. I don't know this guy. I don't know this guy at all. I pick him wrong every single time. So maybe you want to take Mateusz Gamrot here, but I'm going to take Charles Oliveira. I'm going to take Charles Oliveira to get it done, because I think he has a style that could give Mateusz Gamrot a lot of fits. We saw it with the Hooker fight. Hooker was looking for those front chokes that really fucked with Mateusz Gamrot. And then on the feet, Hooker was able to hurt him with his punches to the head, hurt him with his kicks to the body. And I think Charles could do that very similarly here. So give me Charles Oliveira for the pick in the main event. And that will take us to the most confident list. Let's start with number 13. We got Davis and Figueiredo at number 13. He's a big dog here, man. I'm just going to take him for the pick because I don't think in good conscience I could take Davis and Figueiredo or take Montel Jackson over Davis and Figueiredo when Montel Jackson's best win is Daniel Marcos. You know, like it's Daniel Marcos, and Figgy's losing to Sandhagen and Jan. Yes, he's old. He's coming off an injury, but he's like plus 250. I'm going to take him for a pick, man. I'm going to take him for a pick. All right. Joel Filho is going to be number 12. I think it's a really close fight. I just think Filho's got a little bit more professional MMA experience. I think his grappling is super good. I think he's super dangerous as well. And on the feet, he's willing to chuck. He's willing to chuck, and I think against Clayton Carpenter, those type of attributes can give you a chance to win because Clayton's a good, sound fighter that, is a little bit untested. So if you can make him work, I think you can beat him. So I'm going to take Joel Filho there, a little bit low confidence. Another low confidence one is going to be Lucas Almeida, just because I think he could lose a decision because he gets outworked. I also think he could lose by getting knocked out. How likely is him getting knocked out? I don't really think Aswell holds that big of a pop in his hands, but I do think it's a possibility. But I do think Almeida could also hurt Aswell, who's there to be hit. And I think he could win a decision by landing the more impactful shots. So I like Lucas Almeida there for number 11. Number 10 is going to be Charles. I'm going to take Charles there. Put him at number 10 because, as I said, I'm not good at picking Mateusz Gamrot fights. So he's going to be, in the low tier of confidence in these picks. So number 10 is Charles. Number 9 is going to be Jonathan Diniz. I know this guy's durable. I know he's a good striker. I know his weakness is going to be his ground game, but I don't know that that's going to play a factor here. So in a 3-round fight, I'm going to take Diniz over Pinto here at number 9 for a mid-tier confidence. Number 8, it's going to be Ricardo Ramos. Ofli, I just don't think he's good. I think Ricardo Ramos probably has, he has the way more professional and UFC experience, but I think Ricardo Ramos is getting a big step down in competition here, but I do think he could fumble it. I think he could fumble it. Like, I don't think this guy is catastrophe proof by any means. And if anything, he is catastrophe prone to anything. He's prone to losing fights that he should probably win. Number 7, Stuart Nicoll. I think he's got a ton of wrestling upside to get here against Rocha. Rocha is a good striker, but small for the weight class, can get taken down pretty easily, can get dominated on the ground pretty easily. And I think Nicoll, coming off the loss in his UFC debut, is getting written off a little bit too soon. I think this is a good matchup for him, so I'm going to take Stuart Nicoll at number 7 for the mid-tier. Number 6 is Walter Walker. I think he should win, but I'm going to tell you, if he doesn't get the takedown or if he's having trouble getting takedowns, he's not going to look good on the feet. He's not going to look good. Usman's not a good striker, but he has a solid jab. And he moves his feet, and that might be enough. We cannot forget Walter Walker has lost to Lucas Tresky. He has lost to Lucas Tresky, and since then, the only way he has won a fight is by heel hook. He could definitely get another one. But that's the way he's won his last 3 fights since he lost to Lucas Tresky. So if he does not get that heel hook, how does this fight look? How does this fight look? So that's why he's in the mid-tier confidence there. And then number 5 is Lacerda. I do think he's going to be the better striker and the better grappler in this matchup. But, I think Simon Oliveira could maybe pull something out, could maybe put him in a deep guillotine and Lacerda taps. But I'm going to put him at number 5. I just think he's the better overall fighter, and I don't really think Oliveira is in it for much at this point. Number 4, Vitor Petrino. I think he's the much better athlete than Thomas Petersen. Lighter man skill, coming up from 205. If he wants to take down Petersen, I could see him taking him down. If he wants to knock him out, maybe he could try. But, the big thing with Petersen when I was watching, or before he got knocked out by Gaziev, was this dude eats punches with his face and he's not affected. But then he got knocked out by Gaziev. And then I'm like, okay, yeah, this guy can be hit by a power puncher. I'm not saying Petrino's some great power puncher, but he's definitely faster than a lot of these heavyweights, and he's explosive, and he has power. And Petersen eats punches with his face. So I think he could definitely knock out Petersen here. I don't really see how Petersen gets him down to the ground and just smothers him like he did to Dante Mays. So I think Petrino's got a lot of probability to get this one done. So give me Petrino at number 4. Number 3 is going to be Beatrice. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, this top 5 of most confident, just because they're in the top 5 doesn't mean you should go out and bet them. Okay. Beatrice is number 3 because I do think her jiu-jitsu is just going to be, if she gets this fight down to the ground once, it's over with. Or, Alekseeva is going to be badly damaged if Beatrice is able to get to, half or get to full mount or get to side control and land some elbows. She's going to twist her at a pretzel, man. I really think Beatrice's jiu-jitsu is disgusting, and I think Alekseeva is going to be in for a rude awakening if the fight hits the ground. Obviously, if the fight doesn't hit the ground, then we're fucked at number 3. Then we're fucked, but it probably does hit the ground, and I think Beatrice gets it done. Number 2 is going to be Julia Polastri. Yeah, look at me, putting 2 women's MMA fights in the top 3, but I really think Polastri should roll here against Carolina. Carolina's coming off back-to-back losses, both against Brazilian girls that are very physical in Yasmin Lucindo and Diniz Gomes, and now she gets a third. And Polastri is maybe not as physical as those girls, but she's still as nasty, maybe even nastier. And I think she's able to get this one done against Carolina. And number 1 is going to be João Alvarez, elite finisher on the feet, on the ground, elite finisher going up against a guy that's been finishing 2 of his last 3 fights. And I think João Alvarez is going to be just fine at 170. Luque still has the skills. I just don't think he has the durability on the feet nor the willingness to just keep coming forward like he used to. And I think João Alvarez is going to be able to expose that with some big shots on the feet. And if it gets to the ground, Luque could maybe find a submission on the ground, but I think João Alvarez is going to be able to get this one done. So those are the most confident for UFC Rio this Saturday. Appreciate y'all for watching. Like the video for me. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. And again, if you want my bets, jump in the Homo Fight Picks Premium membership. Link down in the description below. That's where you're going to get all the bets on where my money is going. Appreciate y'all. Till next time. Hey, y'all. Picks.